Ever notice how ads always pop up at the worst moments? When the killer's identity is about to be revealed. During that perfect meditation flow. On Amazon Music, we believe in keeping you in the moment. That's why we've got millions of ad-free podcast episodes, so you can stay completely immersed in every story, every reveal, every breath. Download the Amazon Music app and start listening to your favorite podcasts ad-free, included with Prime.
This is Stephanie Díaz de León.
This is Omar Waheed.
And this is Rob Chappell.
And it's 365 Amplified. I don't know who's in charge today.
Well, the thing is closer to me, so I'm
It was closer to
running the boat
me.
today.
It was closer, but
Then I moved it closer to me.
because I pointed out, you really want me near those buttons where I will touch them all?
There needs to be a leader.
It's not me. I don't have to be it. Yeah.
Someone has to be in charge of the board.
Someone has to be in charge in general of this room because we're all very messy.
Yeah.
And want to touch buttons. And it's like right there.
They are very tempting. All those little buttons, and especially the sound pad buttons that are like those white buttons.
Yeah, I
are
want to
sound
touch
effects. There's like one of them is applause, one of them is a wah,
Don't.
I forgot which one. Little
One of them-
horn.
There's a- yep.
Noise.
It's that noise.
There's a joke
Yeah.
button.
I feel
let's not
Oh,
experiment
no.
with those.
My jokes are hacky, but
we don't
I
need sound
wouldn't
effects
go
to
that
enhance.
far. Hold on.
You should label them so that eventually
we
one
should.
of us could add that to
Mhm.
our commentary.
I did used to do sound effects in my comedy routine, specifically with the banjo. I did learn how to play banjo specifically
Just for that, I
for
remember
jokes.
that was one of our questions. What's a random talent that nobody knows? Banjo. I learned to play banjo for my jokes. I'm like, all right.
I read Steve Martin's Born Standing
yeah.
Up. He said, "Oh, playing the banjo. Yeah, well, that doesn't sound that hard. It is
It's very
it's
difficult.
so hard.
It is a very,
Very, very hard.
it's very difficult. It's a very intricate instrument, and getting that sound to sound crisp and clear is and look, if it sounds wrong, everybody knows it.
Yes, they do.
Everybody knows it. Like, oh, that was not the
There's
sound you
not a
meant.
lot of margin for error.
No, there is not
in the
whatsoever.
banjo.
It's a very difficult instrument and such. I don't envy anybody who
I only-
chooses that life.
I only learned how to play 2 songs.
That's enough, so.
Rainbow Connection
That's
and
right. Kermit.
dueling banjos, which are like on the
Oh, they
spectrum
are very
of things.
different.
That is very simple and extremely complicated, and I didn't learn anything else.
You didn't need to after that. Like,
Yeah.
what else are we asking for on the banjo?
Right.
Rainbow Connection and dueling banjos. Nothing else. I didn't even know there were other songs besides those two. I
There
don't.
probably are.
Nobody cares. It's only those 2 songs. That's all that matters.
A country death song.
How
Has a
did
great
we
banjo
know?
line.
How did we know? Oh, of course, Rob would know one more than nobody can.
Very haunting banjo line.
It's a
in
very.
Country death song by the Violent Femmes.
Might have to buy another banjo. It did break when I was moving to Phoenix.
Oh no.
I had 2 large speakers I was using for some comedy
Uh-huh.
shows I was putting on, and I accidentally dropped one of them.
On the banjo?
I was walking by, the banjo was like leaning against the
That
couch
is such an Omar thing, though.
and like hit the couch on the corner, and I just kind
Oh.
of slipped from my hand because I wasn't holding it too tight.
Yeah. There's no way.
And
to
it
hold
just landed just like right on the actual base of it and the bridge.
Yeah.
So it's just
Oh, well, rest in power, banjo.
Mars banjo.
Uh-huh.
a lot of people were relieved.
Mostly your family.
I'm sure.
Sure. And maybe neighbors. I bet some neighbors were like, so good. I don't know where we went with that. but
Getting back to the business at hand, a little later in the show, Huma Ahsan will be here. She announced Wednesday, and Omar was at the announcement and has the recap of the announcement event up on Madison365.org right now. She's running for Dane County Judge for Branch 1 to replace Susan Crawford, who was recently elected to the state Supreme Court. And so she's going to join us and talk about that campaign in a little while. The other thing we want to preview is next week is our 11th
11?
annual
Wow.
10th or 11th. Must be 10th. I must be wrong. It must be 10th.
I think it has to be 10th.
It's
right?
10th.
I'll
Black
count
List
them up.
was 10th in December.
Right. Yeah, so this will be 10th.
Yeah.
So the first one was spring 2016.
Yeah.
And now it's the 10th annual list of Wisconsin's most influential Latino leaders.
Yeah.
There are going to be 32 of them.
That was a hard 32.
It was hard to winnow it down. We had a lot of very, very impressive people.
Uh-huh.
And we had to sort of put our more stringent criteria on it to like.
We'll talk more about it next week.
We will.
Because I think we'll still debate it even over the weekend.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it next week.
Because it might be 32 now, but
it might.
Come Monday, we might be like 37, 86.
100.
Well, we've gotten close to fighting for that too.
But they are leaders from across the state. Mm-hmm. They're in a variety of sectors, a variety of positions, a variety of different ways of exerting influence.
Yeah,
right.
and leadership.
Mm. And it's a 5-day thing. So
we break it up into
several people each day that you get to know and
learn about
and add to your LinkedIn network. You're gonna do.
However you want to connect with them. Yeah. Absolutely. You'll hear this language again next week, just so you know, every single day. Just as a reminder of why it's so important that we amplify folks in this way. And again, our definition of leadership is many things, and maybe not traditionally the way that you all have experienced, I won't say that, the way that you've all considered the definition of leadership. And I think one of the reasons why we do this is so that we can help you expand that idea and help you recognize ways for which you yourselves might be leaders. Even if it's not titled or assigned to you, or even if you don't see yourself in that role, in that space, because I think leadership is many things that we don't want to gatekeep in any kind of way and such like that too. So look for that on Monday.
Yes. The other preview to talk about is the YWCA's Racial Justice Summit coming up later this month. And Omar talked with the CEO of YWCA about that. Can you tell us more about that, Omar?
The CEO and multiple other people. It was a whole team.
Okay, cool.
So the Racial Justice Summit, a very large and exciting annual summit. It's the 23rd. It initially started as a luncheon after realization that there really was no centralized place for people who work in restorative justice to meet. And that just has continued to bloom. And it's now a 2 full days of restorative justice. This year is going to be centered on its pillars of practice, which is solidarity, abolition, mutual aid, and repair. These are going to be central to all the discussions that they have planned. Has to do with all the speakers that they brought out and just about everything going on. The first speaker that they really drew attention to in the avenue of abolition was Ruth Wilson Gilmore. Her work has been long on abolition, the justice system, carceral punishment, and moving away from that. So they are excited to speak with her, and they've actually wanted her to come out to the summit for years to talk about kind of what's next after the abolition movements. Like what you talk about the practice now, but what comes after. So that will be a very interesting conversation. You have Maurice Mitchell, who has been working with families and collective democracy, who currently is working with families parties. It's a progressive, multiracial, working class movement. He has also been a key organizer for Movement for Black Lives in Ferguson, which he moved down to after the murder of Mike Brown, and then helped found the branch for Cleveland. And the final speaker will be Robin Wall Kimmerer. It's ERER. And that's hard to say all the time.
It is, yeah.
She is an author and citizen of Potawatomi nation. Her work is centered on the restoration to ecological communities and our relationships to the land. So they're all kind of going to build off of each other about these 4 pillars and how to navigate these conversations. But there's also going to be a lot of local people. They don't just like to import speakers. They like to find people in their own backyard. So I expect a lot of people from around Wisconsin. I saw a little picture they had on there. I was like, oh, I recognize so many of these people.
Yeah, they're very familiar names to people who've been reading Madison 365 for a while. In addition to those really big name speakers, there's like workshops and seminars and panel discussions and all sorts of stuff for 2 full days, like you said, right?
Yep. The first day is actually virtual. They've been doing that since the pandemic. And the second day is going to be in person at the Monona Terrace. That's on September 25th for virtual and September 26th for in person.
All right. So watch out for that. Thank you, Omar, for that. The other kind of big news this week is we have 2 more candidates for Wisconsin governor.
We did.
Jump in.
Yeah.
One of which we predicted, and one of which surprises me. You predicted, but
I called it, and you said no. And I said, okay, but I called that like a month ago.
You did. Kelda Royce jumped in. That's the one everybody expected to jump in because she jumped in last time.
Yeah.
Didn't make it out of the primary, but is trying again. She's a state senator. She was an assembly person. She was a lobbyist before that. And has just always been kind of a presence around sort of the Madison, Dane County statewide politics. And the other is Francesca Hong.
Called it.
Yes, you did. I didn't.
You called Francesca Hong?
Yeah.
Yeah, she said, she said, Francesca's going to run, isn't she? I was like, I don't think so.
Governor announced that he was not going to run and everybody was throwing up names, and I said, Francesca's going to run. And Rob's was like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, look, I see a lot of state travel that she has been doing lately.
Yeah.
And one, she is somebody who likes to build community and understand folks, and she is just one of those people, absolutely. And it just it just felt like the next thing possibly for her. Not the only thing, but maybe the next thing for her. And I was happy about it, but also I just liked being right.
Yeah.
That was mostly what it is.
That.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't think she would, for me, it was more like she's not going to yet.
It was a yet thing for you.
Yeah, and I could see her making this kind of run in the future. I thought there would be another step in between, which there might still be if she doesn't.
Yeah, I think that it doesn't keep her from thinking, like, it's not the only thing she can do, and it's not limiting her in any way to run right now. But for the last few years, she has gone to various parts of the Midwest, including various parts of Wisconsin, to support Democrats. She has built a presence in different communities across Wisconsin, not just in Madison. And it's been rather thoughtful about that to help fundraise or campaign on behalf of folks, not just at the national level, but at local levels, on state level, that it was just something that I was like, she might throw her head in there. It might be time for her to just try it out. That she's not going to lose anything, quite frankly, if she puts her head in there right now. And also, there's space for her in this, I think.
At least in the conversation, to kind of set the agenda. What are going to be the issues that the Democratic primary is going to focus on? She's going to bring a set of issues that maybe sort of more mainstream Democrats aren't interested in talking about.
Yeah, and she tends to do that.
Yeah. The other part of that, though, the one thing she does lose is her seat in the 76th.
I'm not worried about that.
Sounds like she's not going to
possibly.
She's not going to run again, and the reason we know that, or we assume that, is because Nina Martinez Rutherford has she's going to run for that seat for the 76th.
Oh, Nina?
Yeah,
it's going to be a thing, y'all.
Yeah, this is the political moving chairs. She's the first openly trans member of the Madison Common Council, and I'm pretty sure would be the first openly trans person in the legislature.
In Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin legislature, right? So she threw her hat. She made that announcement shortly after Francesca made the announcement that she's running for governor. So, that, who knows? It's a downtown Madison. It's a very progressive district. Republicans don't even run a candidate there typically. So we'll see if a primary shapes up there or not.
Yeah.
I do run into Dean and Nina a few times,
Mhm.
just out and about. Not on her side of town, which always shocks me. And Alders could leave.
You think Alders have to stay in their district?
I feel like it. I ran into her in Michael's at kind of, I don't know what part of town that is. Monona-ish? I was like, Tina Nina, this isn't your side of town. What are you doing here?
You're not allowed to leave your district.
Who do you know here?
What do you know here? Why are you Harley knows a lot of people, y'all.
Yeah.
Not just in the district, though.
Mm-hmm. And she's going to get to know a lot more if she's running for the 76th Assembly District, which is somewhat larger than her current Alder district.
Yeah. Which is maybe why she was over there.
She was campaigning at a craft store.
Yeah. Or just letting herself be
we're
seen.
looking for things.
That's probably why she's...
Politicians also shopped for craft things.
I guess.
You heard that first.
Mm-hmm. One other local political story to mention is, you remember we've been talking about this recall in DeForest?
Yep.
I was surprised.
You were surprised?
I wasn't surprised she won. I was surprised by the margin.
Yeah. That's what... I don't know that I was surprised by the margin, given the number of community folks who were just sort of exhausted by this person.
Right. Well, just to recap, back in February, the Forest Village Board of Trustees voted 4-3 to remove fluoride from the water, which it's not everything it's about, but that was like the last straw for like this is going in a way that the residents of DeForest don't like.
Yeah.
So Alicia Williams ran. It was too late for her to join the campaign officially to like run for office and file the paperwork and everything. So she ran a write-in campaign, and as a write-in, came like 130 votes short of winning a seat.
Yeah,
which is insane for a write-in. So they just decided she and her supporters wanted to capitalize on that momentum and targeted Bill Landgraf for a recall. Not only because he voted for the fluoride removal, but he just was behaving in a way that was...
I was going to say, like, they didn't target him. He just sort of allowed him, like, the way that he presented and sort of targeted folks from his own town.
Yeah. During the fluoride debate, it was obvious that this guy doesn't have the temperament to represent us on the board anymore. He like was calling people's employers.
He was lying about.
He pretend, and he admitted this to me. He actually finally called me.
Oh yeah,
and admitted to me that he pretended to be a reporter from a national news outlet so that he could to try to get somebody's phone number because it was an anonymous. It was an anonymous critic. This is why she's anonymous because she feared harassment.
Yeah, the constant harassment.
So anyway, they filed paperwork for a recall. They got the necessary signatures, and the election was called for this past Tuesday. And a third person jumped into the race to complicate it, which might have
possibly split the vote,
but also possibly might have triggered a second election.
Oh, sure.
Because technically speaking, this was the primary with 3 candidates. This is the primary. The top 2 go through, unless one candidate gets 50% or more, then they just declare that person the winner.
Yeah.
Alicia Williams got 78.5%.
So she won. Like not just sort of won.
In a 3-way race, she got 78.5%. She had 1,884 votes. Bill Landgraf, the incumbent, had 260. And Stacey Peterson, the third candidate, had 256.
She won one.
She won by a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty loud and vehement statement. And I asked Alicia afterwards, what does it say? And she said, this says people just want civility, and kindness,
and so, empathy,
and so one of the first things she's going to try to do is get a code of conduct implemented, and then revisit the fluoride issue.
So, rightfully so.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my story on that. I posted Tuesday night after the election. That's up at Madison365.org. And I think we'll go ahead and take a break now. And when we come back, Huma Ahsan will be here. And we're back, and I'm here with Omar, and joining us now is Huma Ahsan, a Madison-based attorney who's running for judge. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
Good.
Thank you for being here and give us the time. I know like the first couple of days of a campaign can be pretty busy.
Yes.
So appreciate the time. Let's first of all just kind of introduce yourself to our listeners. I will say some of our listeners may remember that you were on our list of most influential Asian American leaders.
Yes. That was very nice of you to include me.
So if the name is familiar, that might be why. But give us just sort of the background and introduce yourself. Where do you come from? What do you do? That kind of thing.
Sure. My name is Huma Ahsan, and currently, where do I come from? That is a complicated question. Well, I'll try to give you an abbreviated version.
Sure.
My dad came to the United States in the 1960s as an international student, and then he finished his PhD. He always tells me he came to America with $300 in his pockets and 3 shirts, 3 pants, and 3 underwears. But and he finished his PhD in satellite aerial mapping, and he worked for NASA. And then after that, he became a professor at UW Stevens Point and Western Kentucky. And then my mom followed soon after, but she didn't speak English, as you know. So she had to learn English as a second language up at the community college in Stevens Point, behind the Piggly Wiggly there. And then I came along. My dad was looking for a tenured position. And unfortunately, UW at that time in the mid-'60s didn't have tenured positions for him, for people of color. But, when Western Kentucky came along, they said, if you come here, we will give you automatic tenure. So he was there, and then I was born. And then after that, I went to school there. I went to law school in my 20s at Stetson College of Law. Then I met my husband, who is from Pakistan, even though I'm a citizen. He couldn't adjust his status because he came as an international student now, 30, 40 years later, but as a J1. And one of those categories is that you can't adjust even if you get married to a U.S. citizen. So you either have to go to a rural area or we'd have to go to Pakistan for 2 years. And I had just graduated law school in Florida, passed the bar, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to Pakistan. So we ended up in North Dakota to do his immigration. So from his immigration, from there, I worked at legal aid. I was a legal aid attorney. I worked there for a couple of years, and I worked for all different, variety of litigation there, representing people who were have housing issues, domestic violence victims, divorces, custodies, all sorts of a variety of different issues there. And then from there, I ended up working for the Turtle Mountain Community College. I was their project. It was called Project Peacemaker, where we were trying to teach law to the Indian tribes and to Indian practitioners, because at that time, and right now there is an extreme shortage of lawyers on these rural areas, and particularly Indian nations. So we were trying to work with it, and we developed a set of textbooks with UCLA Berkeley and University of North Dakota. And then in the meantime, while I was on the reservation, Turtle Mountain Band Chippewa reservation, their courthouse burnt down. And then all of the judges left, and the federal court, the federal government was threatening to take over their tribal court system. So since I was the only lawyer on the res, they were like, well, Huma, can you help us out? And I was like, okay, sure. I'll be your chief justice. So from there, we had to reconstruct, records, administrative records, had to, do oral hearings. I had to go recruit judges, construct budgets. And we got it done. We got it done. And all of our opinions from the Turtle Mountain Court of Appeals are online. So we were one of the first tribal courts to put all of our opinions online. So from there, then he finished his time in North Dakota, and we could move anywhere. So at that time, he was able to get a job here in Stoughton, and he is a physician. So then we moved here. And lo and behold, the tribal chairman of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa is a professor at University of Wisconsin Law School.
Oh,
so
look at
Richard, Professor Manette. And he said, well, Huma, if you're going to come, you might as well come and work with me.
Yeah.
So I worked as the deputy director for the Great Lakes Indian Law Center here at the University of Wisconsin Law School for a couple of years. Then after that, I got a job working at Ho Chunk as their lawyer. And then I was proceeding to, argue cases for them all over the state. And I ended up having my third kid. And I said, well, now, maybe I should try to work with my own Indians. So then I took a break and had my third kid. And I learned immigration law through a very nice attorney named Irene Wren. She was one of the oldest immigration attorneys here in Madison. And she started in the 60s, and she has trained 4 of us. And now there are 4 lady practitioners, solo practitioners, that have started their own firms from her, sort of like teaching us and mentoring us. So I started my Madison immigration law firm about 15 years ago, and I've been going ever since.
And that brings us up to
date.
Yesterday, when you announced that you're running for judge. What goes into the decision now? If you're running this immigration firm, your own firm for 15 years, you're being successful there. What makes you decide I want to be a judge?
Well, when I looked around at, particularly, it probably started a little bit around November, when he who shall not be named got named as the president of the United States. That was a very difficult moment because everything that we knew about immigration law was going to change again. And we had lived through one 4-year episode of him before, and it was traumatic. So I started to think about it, but I was like so busy, inundated with clients. And then we had the No Kings rally. That was a really good. I really thought about what's at stake for our country because we can see what he's doing now. And the previous administration, in the previous administration, he had good people around him to prevent a complete breakdown in democracy. But now with the Supreme Court being aligned, with his values, and now with him having unfettered discretion, you can see the things that are starting to happen, like the troops in the cities, the various cities, Chicago, they're talking about Chicago next, and we see people being abducted from, the streets, with, ICE agents and masks, these are things that happen in third world countries, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought, what is really going to happen, if we're going to protect the way, who we are in Madison and Dane County, is to have a very strong local court system, that understands kind of what's going on outside of, in other fields like immigration, and if we look at, what I've done, I've developed court systems from scratch. And I think that, we have to have good, as I call them, courts of resistance, to this, we have to be a court of resistance. And that starts locally, to develop that locally. And that's what I want to do on the court, is to develop a sense of, continue our sense of fairness and accessibility for the courts, but to be a court of resistance to that and uphold who we are in Madison and Dane County. I feel like Madison and Dane County is a place that welcomes everyone, that people are inclusive, and everyone has the right to belong here.
Now, your campaign announcement, a lot of people came out, a lot of friends, family. I feel like everyone was really close to each other. How does that feel, seeing all that support?
Oh, that was wonderful. That was wonderful. I haven't run for anything like this before, so I really wasn't sure if there was going to be like two people in the room, my two kids going, yay! And so just having a full house was like, oh, good, people came out.
I mean, you kept bringing out more chairs as more and more people kept coming.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised that so many people came out, and I'd like to thank everyone who came out. We had a great turnout, and I also like to thank Judge Higginbotham. He was a retired judge for the Court of Appeals, and Representative Henry Fries, who came out, and one of my daughter's really good friends, Julia Fetchner. She is the pre-law president at UW, undergraduate. Undergrad. They all spoke so eloquently.
Mm-hmm. Judge Higginbotham did our wedding.
Oh,
okay.
So almost 17 years ago now.
Oh,
I'm really curious about your experience in tribal law specifically. I think, I'm going to be perfectly honest, before I had this job, I didn't even recognize that the nations had courts,
right,
and justices and a Supreme Court and the whole thing. So, can you, what did, I mean, other than like that's when you were actually a judge, right, and built the court system, and how does that experience inform what you're going to try to do here in Dane County?
Right. So the tribal courts they handle cases very much similar to what you would be handling in a circuit court. They have courts that hear civil issues like divorces, custodies. They have some tribal courts even do criminal matters. But the thing is that tribal courts have their own jurisdiction, because if you look at tribal courts, they were created before even states were created. These were nations that were here and had a territory, a land, a culture. So when they're talking about creating tribal court systems, they're trying to infuse their culture, their traditions, and their history into their court system. So when we look at our court system in Dane County, the rules that we have and procedures, those are all what we call, how should I describe it? Legal precedent, or I would talk about it as or our oral history. Well, tribes have sometimes their precedent is their stories of where they come from, who they are. In our law, we have statutes and cases, and that's our oral tradition. Mm-hmm. So the tribal court and the state court are very similar in types of the cases they handle. But the tribal courts, they're not funded like state courts,
Mm-hmm. I would imagine.
Yeah.
What do you think makes a good judge?
Well, I can give you the example of the one judge that I think is what I would try to emulate is Judge Shirley Abrahamson. She was an excellent jurist. I remember when I came here from North Dakota and I was the deputy director, they were talking about a rule, I think a rule of court, a Supreme Court rule of court called, I think it was 17.2, which would give tribal court decisions full faith and credit. So what that means is in the state court, which means that if you come with a divorce order from the Ho-Chunk Nation, that the state of Wisconsin would give that divorce order full faith and credit, meaning that just like you got divorced in Illinois, but you got divorced in, let's say, the tribal court of the Ho-Chunk Nation. So that's giving it full faith and credit. So I remember I went to the hearings, and there were many indigenous people there, and they were talking about their oral traditions. And there was a few justices, not just Justice Abrahamson, but there was a few of them that said, trying to ask them about, what is your precedent? Why should we follow your law? Kind of thing, and, they were a little dismissive of what these tribal leaders were trying to tell them about their history, their culture, how they interpret their precedent. So at that time, I was a nobody. I just put my name down, and she allowed me to speak at that time. And we had a very good conversation on the floor of the Supreme Court about why tribal court orders should be given full faith and credit, and how that could be applied in the state of Wisconsin. And then later on, what she did is she sent me an invitation to provide written comment. And so at the law school, we provided some written arguments in favor of Rule 17.2, giving full faith and credit. And so then it did eventually become adopted as a rule, and then it later turned into a statute, Wisconsin statute, that allows full faith and credit for tribal court orders. So that's a type of judge I would want to emulate, as someone who's trying to bring people into the courts, bringing more understanding into, the court system.
Now it's interesting that's been adopted in our lifetime.
Yes.
That's crazy to think about.
Yes.
You think about native sovereignty.
Yeah, that native sovereignty has been here since before this country was maybe even before the state. And it took, I think it was 7, when that was adopted as a rule of court under Justice Abrahamson.
Well, it's been just now 100 years since Native Americans have been allowed to vote.
Yeah, right.
So that's very just fascinating.
Yeah.
To me. Tell us the basics now. When's the election?
Okay. The election is April 7th, 2026.
Okay. And are you running just to finish Judge Crawford's term, or are you starting a whole new term?
So if I'm elected, I would be getting a whole new 6-year term,
Right, because the governor appointed an interim to finish.
Yes,
Judge
there's
Crawford's
an interim,
term,
yes.
Right. And it's a 10-year term, right?
I think it's a 6-year term.
You just said that, 6-year term.
It's a 6-year term, and I think the Supreme Court has a 10-year term.
That's what I was thinking of, the 10-year court. Anything else, Omar?
No.
All right, This has been very informative and good to meet you and good to get to know you.
Yes.
And best of luck in the campaign. How can people find you and follow you? And
Yes. If anyone would like further information, they can go to our website. It's www.humaforjudge.com, and they can find out a lot of different ways to get involved. We are just ramping up, so we need lots of volunteers to knock on people's doors and, make conversation, have some conversations with neighbors. We'd love to have all the support that we can, and I'd love to meet all of your listeners.
Very good.
Oh, and then one other thing is that I know we haven't had this type of election before, but I am going to be going to, until April, I'm going to be going to speaking to all parts of Dane County. I'm looking to really, the one thing about the court system is that our Dane County courts is the third branch of government, and in creating a branch of government, any order written by the court can only be valid if the people are behind it. So that's what I'm trying to do, is trying to go out and talk to as many people as I can, because at the end of the day, I want to represent all of Dane County.
Very good. Again, Huma Ahsan, thank you for the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
And best of luck.
Thank you.
And we're back. And before we get to the question, which is a very interesting topic, that
Big debate.
It's a big debate, but it is whatever. I'll get into it in a little bit.
Yeah.
I do think we should give some, given that it's in our lane a bit, though not at a national level, but at a local level, about what's going on and what's happening with Jimmy Kimmel. And I think first, to give some context, Rob,
It's and what's going on with Jimmy Kimmel is emblematic of what's going on with media and the government
and for a while
and corporate media also. That's kind of a key part of this. That Jimmy Kimmel said some very anodyne things about the investigation into the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and all he said that has been given as the example of what angered the Trump administration is that the MAGA media, MAGA people, were trying really hard to prove that the alleged shooter was not one of them.
Yeah.
That's all he said.
Yeah.
Didn't justify anything. Didn't criticize Charlie Kirk. Really didn't say anything in support of the assassination, anything like that. Just that he made a note that it was, that all sides are kind of trying to say this guy wasn't one of ours. And MAGA was also definitely trying to do that.
And it's continuing to try to
Mhm.
over-explain, use opportunities to push whatever language it is that they want to push.
When-
that it's not it.
Yeah, when the
Right.
motive still is pretty unclear.
Yeah.
So in response to that, Brendan Carr, the chair of the FCC, which the only real power FCC has in this context is a license over-the-air broadcasts. And he was very upset at these remarks that Jimmy Kimmel made, and threatened he said that we'll revisit ABC's license, which is to say, ABC and presumably its affiliates,
Mhm.
they would examine their license to broadcast over the air.
Yeah.
Which is important for all these stations because, they're on cable. So the worst that could happen is they would only be on cable then.
Mhm.
But the over-the-air broadcast is important still to them. So also in the midst of this is, I don't know all the details of the corporate side of it, but there's some merger.
There's a merger's
That's
happening.
the other thing that the FCC could do, I guess, in this context, is that they approve these media company mergers, right? So Disney, being the parent of ABC, being the network upon which Jimmy Kimmel says his humor, basically pulls them off the air.
Yeah.
So it's indefinitely going to be preempted, and the local affiliates did the same.
Yeah.
They're going to preempt his program with other stuff. I don't know if it's going to be Jimmy Kimmel reruns or if they're going to pull out old
They are
Dave
doing
Letterman.
Jimmy or Charlie Kirk
Yeah.
tribute on
Jeez.
later this
Even
evening.
better, they're going to bring back Jimmy Kimmel's 5-year running show from 1999 through 2004, The Man Show.
Actually, probably knowing this.
Who was the other guy?
here.
Adam
Carolla.
Adam Carolla.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All the choices, y'all. Whether they folks, it's interesting, right? Like when we say something is free speech and when something isn't.
Mhm.
And the number of folks, when anybody who is conservative on campuses, who is including Charlie Kirk, or in different spaces and such like that, we are reminded that free speech exists and it has to apply in this way. And yet when we disagree with it, when it, then it's no longer free speech, it's hate speech. It's a fun little game that folks get to play, and who gets to play that game when they're in power.
Mhm.
And so understand that your First Amendment rights is protection from the federal government, right?
Right.
Like it is so that you are protected to say what you need to or would like to, as long as it's not speech that would cause any kind of harm, or hate speech. You're free to say that. And the federal government can't impose itself upon you in censoring or arresting.
But even hate speech is protected.
Even hate speech on some level,
it's
okay,
the-
as long as it's the hate speech does not incite violence.
That's
So
the
it's a very narrow thing when the federal government can get involved.
Mhm.
And yet the FCC, which is a government entity,
Yes.
decides to do this in only this way. It's the federal government that is taking away our free speech, because it happens to one of us. It happens to all of us, whether you all want to acknowledge it or not, whether you want to feel it or not. Just because it's happening over there in Hollywood, was what somebody said to me this morning, and I was like, "You're cute. Go sit over there." It's happening to all of us, because it's going to happen to somebody with that kind of platform and power. Because absolutely, Jimmy Kimmel has power. That's part of the reason why they wanted to take it away from him. It's going to happen to the rest of us. It's easier to happen to the rest of us versus him. Right?
And to be clear, this was preemptive.
Oh yeah.
Compliance.
Yeah.
Right? This was
ABC,
not.
This was pressure,
Mhm.
and ABC/Disney/ everybody else involved, were like, well, we had something to lose, so either we censor him,
Mhm.
or they'll censor the rest of us, or we'll lose millions of dollars, or we'll get fined in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, they could have just said, no, do what you do, but then we'll sue you all. Like, we will go after you with a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And we will put pressure back the other way for all of you. Instead, it was just easier for them to be like, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, but there is, from a legal standpoint, I don't know how much evidence this would count in court, but Jimmy Kimmel himself and his production company could sue both ABC, Disney, the FCC for this.
For violating the First Amendment.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure there are union rules. That whole company, that there are union writers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's California law also is very specific about what you can and can't do. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, and I hope they pursue it, because they're not just pursuing it for themselves. Like, understand that there is a bigger conversation that happens here. Because if the FCC feels that they can do it to this group here, they're going to do it to other media outlets and they kind of already, probably do. Maybe it's behind the scenes and such like that, but to publicly do so in such a way that the FCC did it, they'll continue to do it.
And this is the next sort of logical step after CBS paid $16 million for nothing. And then later on promised to air all interviews unedited. Which is the dumbest thing ever. Like, everybody, like, this podcast gets very little editing because it's not that long.
What do you mean?
I know.
And we also,
yeah, they can tell.
Everybody wants to hear it. And also, Rob's busy. He gets tired.
They can, you can tell there's not much editing on this podcast. But for a 60 minutes interview, you talk for an hour and a half and give it the most interesting 20 minutes.
And also, what you released wasn't that good. It didn't make it better, y'all.
Yeah,
none of that was better. I just wanted to remind people, I think I said worse things than Jimmy Kimmel did the other week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how you try to adjust a narrative for somebody that is in alignment with you. How you die does not redeem how you lived. Those words are set in stone. There are videos now in ways that there wasn't in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So and that was his point, though. Charlie Kirk purposely wanted that to live on, right?
Yeah.
Because he wanted folks to know how he felt. He was not afraid of that. So to suddenly try to martyr this in such a way, on his behalf in such a way, isn't going to do what I think people are going to do. It will temporarily, which is going to be an incredible harm, and we're seeing that now. Mm-hmm. But it is in the long term going to do what y'all think it's going to do. Right. Stop comparing to MLK.
Yeah, right. The other piece of this is the corporate piece that.
There's a corporate piece.
The FCC has a lot of power over very big corporate people who have a lot of money at stake.
Yeah.
This is why everyone should enjoy and support local, independent, nonprofit media.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's the moral of the story.
The moral of the story is support your local nonprofit media outlet. Because honestly, not that our supporters are wonderful. We're lucky here in Madison to have a corporate community
that wants to support,
that is very invested in the community and wants to support us. And the American Family Insurance is, for example, big national company. TrueStage, same thing, who consistently support us because they want to be invested in their local community, even though they're big national players. That said, there are corporate folks who will be, and this is not just Madison, but who will be maybe a little bit hesitant sometimes to support media outlets that might get the attention of the Trump campaign or administration. I'm speaking of no one in particular, but that's one of the dangers here. So we're going to have, starting in November, we're going to have our annual fundraising campaign. So just keep that in mind.
Or you can give now. It's all right to give
you
now.
You could, definitely, but it wouldn't be doubled. In November, December, it gets doubled. So save your money until November 1st. Put it in an envelope, set it aside.
If you don't, I will buy another banjo.
Oh my gosh. That's going to be our telethon. It's going to be like, make Omar stop playing banjo.
Because he hasn't played in years.
It's going to be like 16 hours of Rainbow Connection.
I know. Or it's 16 hours of him trying to learn a new song.
Right.
I could do it live.
As soon as we get
That's right.
$50,000 in pledges, Omar stops playing the banjo.
Maybe we should put that on a shirt. Omar starts playing. And if you pledge during that time, we'll give you a shirt that says, "Oh, thanks for stopping Omar from playing."
I helped stop Omar from playing the banjo.
What's that magazine, Mad?
Mm-hmm.
Buy this magazine or we'll shoot this dog. We can do something similar to that. But
We'll break the banjo.
It's just Omar playing banjo. This is shaping up nicely.
Yeah. We've got a plan, y'all.
All right. What's the question?
So the question is really, really simple. Folks were trying to have this debate with me, and I said, I'm going to be right about this. So stop trying to debate me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Are tacos a sandwich? No.
Yes.
No.
There's actually only 3 food groups: sandwich, soup, and salad.
No. No.
Everything.
So is it pizza? Is it an open face sandwich? Is what you're saying?
It's an open face sandwich.
No, it's not.
Ice cream is frozen cold soup.
If you let it melt, it becomes actual soup.
Exactly.
It's like creamy gazpacho.
Everything is just one of those 3. And a taco is definitely a sandwich.
So what is like steak in this criteria of yours?
Salad?
No. Answer's no. Remember what month it is?
Yeah. I would have to. This is like the Hispanic Heritage Month version of is a hot dog a sandwich?
I don't
also,
care.
yes.
I don't care.
Some would say no.
I don't care about hot dogs.
Because there's some who say the criteria for sandwich is 2 pieces of bread.
Or just bread.
Or 2 tortillas. Or
Tortillas are not bread. They're tortillas.
Right. So 2 sides of something would have to be a sandwich. Well, some people would say tacos not a sandwich because it doesn't have any bread.
No, it's not bread. Right. Tacos does not use 2 pieces of something.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like some people would say you have to have 2 pieces of whatever it is on one top on the bottom, otherwise it's not a sandwich. That said, legend has it.
Is there a legend? Tell me about your legend.
Be
careful.
Sandwiches are long time heritage of white people. The legend has it
almost
that the Earl of Sandwich
tell me about this legend.
Was playing cards and needed to eat something that he could hold in one hand. And his kitchen brought him meat between 2 pieces of bread, and thus the sandwich was born. So, by which criteria?
What? So for what? I'm sorry.
This is a yes. This is in favor of yes.
Okay, but here's the thing: don't use your white man story to just
point being
Hispanic Heritage Month.
Point being,
European cultural dominance.
Dang, Rob.
If sandwich. If we,
I only get 30 days.
I'm not saying tacos were invented as a type of sandwich, but
they're not a sandwich.
You said yes, I thought.
What?
No, you said no.
Yeah, they're not a sandwich.
I could see the.
He's not even listening to the person whose month it is.
If the criteria also is it can be held in one hand.
I'm mean to you. This is why.
Yeah, if it's one-handed food is a sandwich, then
no, stop talking.
But maybe that's not the criteria.
No, it's not the criteria. We're not going to use your lens for that.
I think it's any piece of some bread type-ish.
It's not bread.
Do you not consider a wrap a sandwich?
I consider it a wrap. And you know what? I don't think about it that much.
It's a subset.
That's the other thing.
This is the most we've ever thought about this.
This is the most I've ever thought about it. Someone tried to have this argument. I'm like, I don't know who you are, what you're talking about. No. I do know who they are, but I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like, why would you bring that to me? I'm busy.
What did you eat for breakfast?
Tortilla. Burrito. That's a burrito. That's not a sandwich. No, it's not. Doesn't have the same number of carbs, not the same calories, not made the same way. There's no flour involved. A corn tortilla has nothing.
Wow.
And we use it different than you all. Like that, it's a utensil-like thing, but where you can cut up in pieces.
You actually you're making the motion.
Yeah, I'm making a motion.
You take the tortilla in a piece and then you pick up the other type of food within that, and
inherited from Arab culture. Throwing it out there.
Probably. I mean, like I don't have any concerns about where it came from. Yeah. I'm just saying it's not a sandwich.
If I were to use a naan and then put food,
I wouldn't call naan a sandwich either.
a sandwich.
I would call it, a meal with non.
Well, because you don't usually use naan like that. But if you were to use naan like that, or there's a food
I
called
have used it like
prada.
because it reminds me of a tortilla, so that's why I use it like a tortilla because it's the shape.
So there's a food called prada. It's just 2 pieces of roti with food in the middle. That's a sandwich.
I guess I would.
It's just a really, really flat sandwich.
I think that by the strict criteria of like 2 pieces of something with stuff in between it, that's a sandwich. That would.
I don't think it has to be 2.
But yeah.
Some bread
thing was holding other food in some fashion.
Yes.
So hot dog's a sandwich for you.
Hot dog is definitely a sandwich.
Tamales
also a sandwich.
Tamales are not a sandwich because you don't eat the corn husk.
You don't eat what's on the outside of it.
That's not that literally is just a.
It's a peelable sandwich.
So a banana's a sandwich. And all these criteria that you are expanding the language. Banana's a sandwich, y'all. For Omar.
Okay, I think it's
said. Every food is either a sandwich, a soup, or a salad.
If there are olives in your tamales, that is a salad according to Omar or
No, because it's still stuff wrapped in some.
But you don't eat the corn
substance.
It's mixed. It's not wrapped. It's mixed in there. It's not a wrap.
Well, that's a salad then.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say it's closer to salad. Yeah.
I would say based on your criteria, if there's olives in it, that's like a salad.
Even if there's not olives, I think it's corn and meat.
Sometimes there's
mixed
pineapple
together.
in it. You could put a lot of stuff. There's green peppers and you can do a lot of chiles in there. You can mix.
No, I'm looking forward to Christmas.
You're not.
So I think we landed on the side of.
After you came to that conclusion, you were not.
I didn't say any conclusion. I was just talking through all the possibilities, and I think I've landed with you. And no, it's not a sandwich.
I know, but the version of it, how you got there, counts. Context counts.
Yeah.
So this is why you will always say attire. You will never move up.
For those who don't know, that means I've for 20 years I've been tying the ends of the tamales, so I'm a tyer, and I've never graduated up to spreader or
what
anything else.
Well, he camps, so he has to know like knots anyway. It's like a circus.
Yeah,
we did say like he was a Boy Scout, so you should just stay there.
I'm very good at tying. We'll say that.
He's not. There's sometimes when we get mad at you, like Rob. But he does critique how much masa we put on something, especially with Jessica, because Jessica makes them small and just pushes her to make them thicker because nobody likes a small little.
Yeah. You need substantive masa.
All right.
I think that's all for now.
I don't know where we went.
Have a good weekend. 365 Amplified is produced and edited by me, Rob Chappell, and is a production of 365 Media Foundation, a nonprofit, local, independent media organization in Madison, Wisconsin. Wherever you're listening to this right now, hit the subscribe or follow button to get new episodes every Friday. And between episodes, get your latest news at madison365.org and follow us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Threads. Wherever you get your news, we'll be there.